absolute pitch black chaos, deep inside enemy territory. No backup. You are the backup. Welcome to this explainer, where we're unraveling the incredible and honestly super complex story of former Delta Force operator John Shrek McPhee. Today we're looking at the ultimate paradox of a man who was literally built for the most violent environments on Earth, yet somehow managed to find his absolute peace in the simplest of ways. Okay, let's dive right into this, because this quote, it perfectly captures the mindset we're dealing with here. So picture this. During a deployment in Bosnia, military regulations required operators to run armed at all times, no exceptions. Well, when a commander stopped McPhee on a morning run and asked where his weapon was, McPhee didn't pull out a standard sidearm. Nope. Instead, he held up 2 live fragmentation grenades. As he put it, if things went wrong enough that he actually needed to fight while out in gym clothes, a pistol just wasn't going to cut it. He'd much rather have the ability to wipe out a whole squad. It's an intense, almost shocking image, right? But it highlights exactly how his mind processes threat and survival. Section 1. Unconventional Delta Tactics. Let's really look at how McPhee's highly systematic approach to warfare allowed him to operate safely in the middle of absolute chaos. To blend in seamlessly, McPhee developed this crazy, meticulous methodology for getting vehicles. He would literally steal or, boost cars right off the street. But wait, this wasn't just random theft. It was a highly precise system. He'd identify a specific vehicle, boost it securely, and stash it away in a holding lot. He'd swap the plates and prep the car perfectly so that when a covert solo mission came down the pipeline, he had the absolute perfect invisible vehicle ready to roll. And that brings us to one of his most legendary tools, the orange taxi. When high-value targets or informants needed to be extracted, sending in a massive convoy of American military vehicles was literally a death sentence. I mean, it drew immediate deadly attention. So what did McPhee do? He used a bright orange taxi. He would drive completely alone, schedule a meet at a local mosque, pull right up to the target, and extract them completely under the radar. The taxi painted a picture of exactly who was driving it before anyone even looked inside, allowing him to hide right in plain sight. Pure genius. But what happens when a vehicle actually becomes a liability? Well, McPhee's exit strategies were just as brutally efficient as his planning. He heavily utilized thermite grenades. Now, these are devices that burn at a staggering 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Sometimes they'd recover enemy car bombs, where, horrifyingly, the suicide bombers were actually padlocked and chained to the steering wheel by their own commanders. Those vehicles would test hot for explosive residue, and they obviously couldn't just be left behind. So McPhee's solution? Drop a thermite grenade and instantly melt the entire vehicle, the whole shebang, into ash. Section 2. The weight of survival. Because, operating at a constant, extreme intensity like that comes with a massive, heavy cost when you finally have to come home. The dark reality of his return was just brutal. McPhee really candidly admits that after years of seeing the absolute worst of humanity, of seeing people die for no reason at all, his heart turned black. He completely lost his empathy. He speaks incredibly openly about knowing exactly what the rocks at rock bottom look like. He found himself relying on a fifth of alcohol and handfuls of Ambien just to force his brain to shut down, get a few hours of sleep, and then wake up and do it all over again. Section 3. Finding the simple life. The elite operator now faced an entirely new enemy, his own declining physical health, massive weight gain, and a growing dependency on painkillers issued by the VA. Now, this contrast is absolutely staggering. On one side, you've got the warfighter, weighing 280 pounds, totally numb and dependent on medicine that he realized was only treating the symptoms, not the actual problem. He compared it to putting air in a flat tire every single day. And on the other side, the man he rebuilt himself into. He lives out of a camper van so he can just sleep wherever he parks. He eats simple protein yogurt, practices jujitsu to stay present, and prioritizes massive daily walks. He realized that modern society is completely addicted to the easy button, and he made the active choice to stop pressing it. So, how did he actually get there? That's the million-dollar question, right? It wasn't a magic pill. It wasn't some complex medical intervention. It was walking. He started by literally forcing himself to walk 10,000 steps a day, replacing those heavy painkillers with diet and movement just to clear the brain fog of PTSD. And once he mastered that, he pushed it to 20,000 steps a day, hiking up mountains. He emphasizes over and over that recovery is a long game, built entirely on taking baby steps. Section 4, Leadership and Overcomplication. This incredible journey toward profound simplicity completely reshaped his entire worldview. According to McPhee, if you are making things harder and way more complicated than they actually need to be, you are displaying weak leadership. It means you either genuinely don't know what you're doing, or you are just too scared to admit that you don't know what's going on. True leadership to him is all about clarity and simplicity, especially when literally no one else has a clue what to do. And to achieve that kind of clarity, you have to be willing to mess up. Failure is mandatory. McPhee openly states that he failed at almost everything he tried at some point. He firmly believes that the difference between being good and being great is just one step, but most people quit before taking it because they are terrified of failing. In his zero-defect mentality, where mistakes aren't allowed at all, growth is completely, absolutely impossible. Section 5. Letting go of trauma. Now, this grounded, no-nonsense approach to failure carries directly into how he processes deep emotional pain. So many of us fall into this really dangerous trap. We think that burying trauma, stuffing it deep down inside so we don't ever have to look at it, is the exact same thing as letting it go. McPhee warns that stuffing it down is incredibly dangerous. You can only carry so much of that heavy weight before it eventually crushes you. So how do you actually drop the weight? Well, here's his long game of healing. First, stop burying it. Second, you have to generate your own closure. No one is going to suddenly appear out of nowhere and hand you an apology or magically make it right. You have to find the strength within yourself to actively let it go. And third, take those daily baby steps. It is a daily conscious choice to wake up, decide you aren't going to be angry anymore, and literally force yourself to smile until it becomes your reality. And this is the most profound part. This whole journey led him back to the one thing he lost on the battlefield: empathy. Despite enduring an abusive childhood and a career completely surrounded by violence, McPhee came to the incredible conclusion that empathy is the core of what makes people good. Refusing to let those dark experiences make you a permanent victim and choosing instead to understand and help others is the ultimate display of strength. Which leaves us with this final thought. McPhee talks about seeing people in their 70s finally retiring, deciding it's time to conquer their bucket list, only to realize their bodies are just too broken to even hike up a small trail. They waited their whole lives for the right time, but never put in the daily baby steps to actually prepare for it. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Are you waiting for some perfect moment in the future to conquer your mountains, or are you putting in the work today? Start walking.